Hello and welcome to Metawatch for the 28th of September. This is a late one for me because I've just got back from the London Grand Tournament. I'm recording it today because unfortunately I'm away for the rest of the week, so I'll have to go and do it now. So just as an overview, we're going to do the UK events recap. We're going to look at some upcoming UK events. I'm going to do a bit of a deep dive and focus on the LGT because it's such a large event. I'm going to unfortunately have to skip over the wider meta win rates, so I'll skip over that, and then at the end I'll do the tactical tip and the Patreon priority question as per usual. So with all that said, let's get straight into it, shall we? Hello and welcome to Turning Point Tactics, the competitive Killteam 40k YouTube channel focused on giving you the strategies and tactics to seize initiative every turning point. I'm your host Ryan, and I'm here to help give you the tips and tricks to elevate every part of your Killteam experience. So no matter if you're a casual or a competitive player, there should be something here for you. If you're interested in supporting the channel, there's a few ways you can go about doing so. You can join the Patreon, where you get access to members only Discord, Patreon priority questions, early access to content, exclusive content, and tournament awards. Or if you find yourself buying Killteam goodies or hobby supplies, you can use one of our affiliate links in the description below, or discount codes with Crossfire Games and GG Prints. We're always keen to hear your thoughts and feedback, so don't leave that comment box empty. Let us know what you think. Once again, thanks for your support, and with all that said, let's get into it. Okay, so welcome to Metawatch for the 28th of September. This weekend has been a really busy weekend actually. We had two events, but one of them was 6 rounds 93 players, and the other one was 3 rounds and 21 players. So that's a total of 114 UK players at tournaments this weekend, which is absolutely epic. So really awesome to see. So I'm going to talk about those in a second, but what I just want to again is quickly focus on is highlight some of the upcoming events. Because really this is what it's about, is trying to get as much of the community playing the game as possible. And we've tried to, as a TO community, make that as easy as possible. And Simon has done some amazing work, one of the Lincoln Killteam guys, in essentially hosting what you can see on the left here, which is the UK Killteam events list, right? So I'm just going to highlight some of these, people can see what's coming up for the rest of the month. So Yorkshire Killteam is hosting on the Saturday 4th of October a Forged in Fire, so that's a separate beginner-friendly event to the Teams event that they're running on the same day. It's a Teams event not listed here because it's an invitational Teams event, but that's the idea. So 15 quid a ticket, you can sign up to that, and it's in Sheffield, which is awesome. Then on the 11th of October, you have Oktoberfest. That's being done by Cambridge Killteam. That's a really good community there actually, and they are like, I think up and coming, and I'm going to talk a few more about up and coming communities as well. But in Cambridge, a 4-round event, so that should be nice and fun. And then in Brighton, as another 4-round event on the 18th of October. And Brighton, I think, just for people's awareness, is a community to look out for, right? Because they went to LGT, and a lot of them were playing in their first big tournament. And a lot of them did really, really well. So I think that this is going to be like a sort of a dark horse, up and coming community. I think that are going to continue to do well. So that's obviously Brighton Killteam on the 18th, and then on the 19th you have Notts Killteam running a standard skirmish Sunday. So that's in Sutton and Ashfield. That's a 3-round casual event. So again, just for getting the sort of continuous reps in, and I'm a little bit biased. I think those sort of events are always great for the community. And I think Notts Killteam do a fantastic job doing it. Later on into October, you've got Yorkshire Killteam running a Fright Night firefight on the 25th. So that's again in Sheffield, if people are local to that area. I've realised, I should say, all of the ones I've been to, I've been to all of these places, and they're all amazing communities, by the way. So I don't think if I haven't mentioned a community that I don't think they're good. They're each good and unique in their own way, and I like all of them. And then Norwich Killteam, which I talked about previously, on the 8th of November. So it's a 3-round event in Norwich. Then you have the International Team Tournament, which is in Welwyn Garden City, and that's a team event for 3 rounds, hosted by the UKTC. On the 15th as well is Killteam 3, which is in Edinburgh. So if you're a little bit further north than Welwyn Garden City, you might want to consider going up to Edinburgh to participate in Killteam instead for a singles event. And then rounding out November, you've got another Yorkshire Killteam event for Sparks and Skirmishes. That's in Sheffield again, and the Invitational 5 and the Dice of Destiny at Lincoln Killteam in Lincoln. And that's I believe, declassified event is what they're trying to do. for that. So you can bring whatever team that you want. And then into the beginning of December, you have Leicester Grand Tournament, a UKTC event. It's the beginning of the new UKTC season, because the UKTC season just ended with London Grand Tournament, which is cool to see. And then 13th of December is the Winter Assault in Bedworth. So 3-round event there as well. So again, there's loads of events up and coming. You can find this just by going to talkify.com/Killteam events/pinboard, and that's in the link in the description below, so you can find it nice and easily. And you just click on any of these, and like, I don't know, let's say you wanted to go to Cambridge Killteam Oktoberfest. You click on that, it brings you to the page. You can buy your tickets and all that sort of stuff, and away you go, right? So it's as easy as that, and it tells you here where the location is, who's running it. It's a 50-player event, all that sort of stuff, nice and easy. So that's how simple it is. So please get involved, and like, I cannot stress enough how much I recommend going to tournaments. I've had an absolute blast this weekend at the London Grand Tournament. So I'll do that bit first. That's the advertising for what's coming up, as it's really important. Okay, so next I'm going to talk about some of the upcoming, some of the events that have just been and gone. So the two that I'm going to talk about is this Notts Killteam Into the Tomb World, which is an invitation event, and then the London Grand Tournament itself. So firstly, just to set the scene for this was essentially a casuals beginner learning event for the new edition, which I think is so important for the community to do, right? Because essentially we've got brand new approved ops, we've got a brand new terrain set, we've got, like, you know, so much to learn, and really for a lot of players, they just want to get hands-on, get some games under their belts, and understand what's going on. And that's exactly what this was focused to do, was to help bring those players along into the new edition and kind of like set that spark going, because I think for a lot of people the new edition is pretty exciting. So essentially it's a 3-round event, 21 players. Again, it was a teaching event. One of the things I will say is the TOs, Jason Zammit and Mike Sherwood, were essentially running the event and TOing, hence the double loss at the end here. They were playing, but they were also, like, they ended up playing each other, and they wanted to try and a TO and make it fair, etc. So hence double loss. But I'll talk through the top 3, because I think it's pretty cool to see. But like a fantastic variety of teams being played, which is awesome, right? So coming in first place, going undefeated with Void Dancer Troop, is Matthew Wilson. Matt's a great dude. He has been going to quite a lot of tournaments recently. I think he's been going to most of the ones that I've gone to, and he's been playing a variety of teams, and he seems to be doing well. But maybe he has settled on Void Dance Troop and is gonna do well with it. But great to see that, right? Like 15, 20, and 15. Now, interestingly, like, as you can probably see as you scroll down the list of the various scores, we're not seeing very many 21s, right? So generically, I think what's hold true of, like, it scores less in general is very much true. But yeah, so congratulations to Matt with his Void Dance Troop for taking first place. Clearly picking up the game really, really quickly, and I think Void Dance Troop are in a really good place to be able to exploit some of the new Tac Ops. So clearly having fun with them. In second place is Jimmy Cliff with Canoptic Circle. It's good to see Jimmy. Jimmy's the sort of person that can just sort of, I think, pick a team that no one's expecting, and just run with it. Like, I'm pretty sure he ran Breaches at the Christmas event and did exceptionally well. I'm pretty sure that was Jimmy. But running Canoptic Circle, and I think Canoptic Circle are in a really good place, but they're not an easy team to play, right? So, like, picking them up for your first few learning games and doing so well with them, like, that's epic to see. So well done, Jimmy, for a draw and 2 wins, and coming second place. And then in third place is the one and only, it's the Jason Zammit. So this is like Killteam's original hype man for the Notts Killteam area, running Fulgur Ravagers. And we were having a conversation about Fulgur Ravagers. There's a few people I talked to this weekend about them as well. And I think with the new Tac Ops, they're in like a really interesting, like, they're in a good place, I think. I do think they have some bad matchups. Like, I don't think they love fighting Deathwatch, and I don't think they love fighting like Nemesis Claw and these sorts of elites. But I do think that they have, like, play into a lot of the rest of the meta, by essentially playing like a hug kill team game similar to Nemclaw, but with mortal wound spam added on top of it, and then just being so essentially durable, needing to be double killed and having sort of like a large wound base anyway. But it's great to see that Jason has like come back into Volga, because he hasn't been playing them for a long time. He's been on Sanctifiers and then on Vespid, and then I think for ease of TOing and a bit of familiarity and to try new things out, essentially jumped on Felgor again. So I think Felgor are one to watch. I think the downside is in single events is they do have some of those poor matchups. Unlike Canoptic Circle, that I think can probably flex and play into, say, like if you get a melee horde, you have the ability to manipulate charge distances. If you're playing a shooting horde, you have like the revival and that sort of stuff. Like Felgor don't necessarily have that in some of their matchups, where they just, if they're playing like an elite team that can just kill them through frenzy, they do struggle. And I think particularly like Legionary is a really tough one for them. So they're probably going to enjoy seeing Legionary leave the meta, is my opinion. But yeah, so that's the quick top 3 of the Nox Killteam into the Team World event. So awesome to see the sort of the community going, and so many players learning the new edition and getting their hands on it, which is exactly what we want to see, right? So fantastic stuff, and that's 21 players that weren't playing in the London Grand Tournament. So this is like a pretty cool thing for the Killteam community, I think, because at no point have we got to a stage where we've had like quite so many concurrent players. And I know that, like, I go down this list and I know there's a whole bunch of like Northern players that I don't see represented. And I know that there's a lot more Killteam players in the UK community, and this event still pulled in 93 players. So like that is just absolutely incredible to see, right? The other bit that I want to like just highlight on this, for people who are perhaps a little bit apprehensive about going to a Killteam event, is not a single player didn't lose all their games. So no one lost all their games. So people got draws, people got like a win, people got whatever. Someone obviously had to drop, but like throughout like all of this, there's not a single player that lost every single game. I think that is epic to see, right? So I think if you're, I say this repeatedly, like if you're apprehensive about potentially going to an event and like thinking, I don't want to get someone a bad game, or I don't want to just lose everything, it's like you probably won't. And I guarantee that like your opponents will love seeing you turn up and come and play Killteam, right? Like I personally, I don't mind if I get a new player, if I get an experienced player. I just want to have some fun and throw some dice, right? And that's kind of where we're at. So anyway, let's talk about the London Grand Tournament and get into a bit more of a deep dive, because I did actually play in the London Grand Tournament, so it's probably worth me covering off a few bits and details. But I'll do the top 3. In fact, I'll do probably the top 8, because I think there's some interesting stuff to talk about there. So coming in first place is Dan Barton with Wormblade. Now, this is something that probably no one was expecting, right? Was Wormblade to be winning the London Grand Tournament. But conversely, on the other hand, probably people were expecting Dan Barton to be winning the London Grand Tournament, right? So there's a combination here of team choice and player skill. So what I will say about this, though, is I think Wormblade seemed quite well set into the meta. So there was quite elite heavy meta going into this, and I think Wormblade, with their ability to have ceaseless, rending, spend a CP to turn a regular hit to a crit, and all this sort of stuff, can force through a lot of damage into some of those elite matchups. So this was a matchup that I was quite scared of. There was a few matchups that I was scared of, but this was one in particular that I was like worried about, because I just thought, I kind of know that like it's going to be very match mission and map dependent, right? So like if there's a dominating position where like the sniper who has lethal 5, dev wounds, normal to crit, like can be in a position to dominate the board, like he can just pop heads one after the other. Like none of your Deathwatch models are going to live on that. But if it's like a board where they have to control a lane, then that's suddenly there's a bit more of a game there, right? But yeah, so congratulations to Dan. Fantastic work, doing so well, and getting a cheeky 21 pointer in there as well. So managing to max out is always I think impressive in this edition. Then this Ryan Slater guy came second, running Deathwatch. So I mean I had an absolute blast with this, and I want to say like all 6 games to my opponents, you were all incredible. I had so much fun. They were great sportsmen. They were like they're fun to play against. They challenged me in different ways. Like I genuinely had an absolute blast. And I'll talk through the individual matchups, but just on Deathwatch in general. So Deathwatch kind of get like a bit all over the place, right? So we have Deathwatch up at the top. We have another Deathwatch player, which I ended up playing in the last round in 5th. There's some Deathwatch down in like 9th, 11th, 18th, 22nd and 23rd. They were, by the way, the most popular faction. There was like 14 of them. There's Deathwatch down in 38th. There's Deathwatch probably further down again. Yeah, 48th. Where else? Like, there's a lot of Deathwatch. Yep, 69th. Nice, by the way. Really nice, 69th. And that might be it. Is that the lowest scoring Deathwatch? Or is there more? No, that's it. So, my point I was going to say is, like, it seems like they kind of landed, I would say, middle of the pack to upper middle of the pack in general. Like, and I think part of that is they are one of the best elite teams that are out there. They're quite easy to play. And this was the first major event that people were playing with the new approved ops and the new teams. So I don't like. So yes, I went undefeated. What I will say is I had clearly access to the rules 2 weeks before everyone else, and in that time I did get, I think it was 2 games in prior to the release for everyone else. So yeah, so I essentially had 2 games more than a lot of my opponents, and therefore, in a way, I was at an advantage, right? So although you know this is a good result, I don't want to take away from the fact that a lot of my opponents were essentially still like learning approved ops and all that sort of stuff. So I did have an advantage going into these games. And it'd be remiss of me not to mention that. But yeah, so Deathwatch kind of landing all over the place, but I managed to get some great games in there. And then John Burgess running Hierotek Circle, doing a really good performance at Hierotek Circle. Now, I think Hierotek Circle are in a really good place in this in this meta. I think John only lost to Dan. I believe that was the matchup that he lost his game to. And yeah, I mean, Hierotek Circle with security and recon as they are now, I think they have really good Tac Ops that they can play into. And that wasn't necessarily the case in the previous approved ops. So now I think they might be stronger than they were before, which is wild to think, because they still do the kill op denial that they were good at, and they're still very good at playing the crit op as well. So I think they're a really like strong performer. But also, I want to just quickly highlight Killteam Brighton, right? So this is the start of the Killteam Brighton all sneaking their way up. And then next up is Ben Hall Roberts, also from Killteam Brighton, running the Vitiates. So I think Ben has been winning a few events now, I want to say. I think he's done a couple. And performing really well, right? So Novitiates showing that they still have legs, I think, even in the new approved ops, not just in the old ones, and a really like a solid performance here with only a single loss with Novitiates. So prior to that November rotation, I think Novitiates might be hanging around a little bit longer. Wormblade still hanging around a little bit longer. So actually, I think some of these older teams, a lot of people are discounting and sort of like going, oh, maybe they're not very good. Actually, they maybe they still have it. So one to look out on. In 5th place is another Deathwatch player, Jack O'Neill. So the only game he lost was the Deathwatch mirror match that I played at the end, and a really solid player. Like I had played that particular matchup before with the same map, and I think that experience is what really helped me in that game. So I'll talk about that one in a second. But I think other than that, he was pretty much like dead set to be first or second. And and I think depending upon who he matched up into that last round was where it's going to be, and you know how the dice go and that sort of stuff. So great performance from Jack, another Killteam Brighton player. So it's like three in the top 5 from Killteam Brighton. That's a pretty scary scene that's getting developed down there. So I'm not sure what they're cooking in the water down in Brighton, but it's working, right? It's definitely working. In 6th place we have Guy Barton running Inquisitorial Agents, showing that the Inquisition still have that authority to crush. I think again in this meta with so many Deathwatch on the table and Nemclaw as well and Raveners, I think Inquisition quite like this meta. If we continue to see, and at the moment the most popular teams, the most popular factions are Inquisition are Deathwatch, Raveners, and Nemesis Claw. And I think they have a sort of somewhat favourable matchup into all of those. So congratulations to Guy doing so well with a 5-1. And then we're down to John Harvey running Plague Marines, which like again I remember a lot of people saying like Plague Marines are dead, right? Like Plague Marines, I don't know how you win with them anymore. Well, apparently we need to go and start asking John Harvey, because John Harvey knows what he's doing, going a single loss and 5 wins with Plague Marines, which is absolutely epic to see. And it's these kind of results that I think are really awesome, because again, a lot of the time people go, oh, you know, this faction's out for the count. And then John Harvey's like, nah, not yet. Like, I think that's epic, right? Like, again, awesome to see. One of the things that I will just note on is like the scores for the Plague Marines are a little lower. So I think probably what people are seeing is that like it's harder to score with that team, therefore you're going to get less points, and therefore I believe you have to work harder to focus on denying your opponent's points, right? So potentially that's the change of mentality of Plague Marines is I'm going to struggle to score mine, so I'm going to make it really hard for you to score yours. So potentially that's it, but we'll have to speak to John Harvey and figure out what the magic source is with Plague Marines. And then eighth place with the last 5-1 result is Walter Rogers from Bristol Killteam running Canoptic Circle. So a fantastic performance with a single loss, I believe, only to Dan. I think that was the one that he lost. And doing an amazing job with Canoptic Circle. The best performing Canoptic Circle player, so picking up that brand new team with no read-in time, nothing like that, like no advantages like I had, and being able to just like pick it up, learn the rules, and just take it to amazing success. Now Walter is one of the sort of the young bloods in the community, and I think he's going to do really well going forwards. I think he's got the right brain for it, he's got the right attitude for it, and he's definitely one to watch. So congratulations for going 5-1 at one of the largest UK events and getting top 8. That is incredible. So that is the top 8. And one of the things that I just wanted to like just quickly show is, with the exception of Deathwatch having 2, which again, bear in mind there was 14 or 15 Deathwatch players out of the 90, kind of makes sense. We actually have a fantastic variety in the top 8 of players, right? So there's 7 different factions being played in the top 8. So it's not like, it's just Canoptech and just Deathwatch or something like that. There's actually quite a lot of variety here, which is awesome. And each player, there's a lot of good players in this list that are clearly thinking, yep, I can probably make this work with this faction, this meta. So that's just epic to see. So congratulations to all these people who played like absolutely phenomenally and did so well. Sadly, I can't talk through every single individual result, otherwise I'd be here all night, and I have a flight in the morning. I just wanted to just say again to all these people, thank you so much for coming to London Grand Tournament. It's been a blast, and all these people on this list are what make it happen, right? So congratulations to each and every single one of you for being great opponents. I didn't hear of any sort of big issues for the TOs or anything like that, and it seemed to be like a massive success. So congratulations to everyone for that. I'm just going to go and just talk through my LGT games, because I think people will be interested in that, and it's going to be in lieu of being able to do the wider meta win rates. Reason being is I usually record this on a Monday night, but I'm having to record it on a Sunday night because I'm going away tomorrow, and the stats get updated every Monday. So I would do the meta win rates, but I don't have that data available, so I'll be telling you what you already know from last week. So I will do that again when I come back next week and give you an update. But yeah, so instead, I'm going to talk through this tournament and do a bit of a tournament report. So I'll just go through round by round and just sort of talk about my games, and then I'll show you how I track my data, because a few people have asked about the spreadsheet, which I'm going to put a link to on the Patreon so people can see how I go through tracking data. So I get to the tournament, it's LGT, it's like 6 rounds. For various reasons, I was up very late the night before, like up till 1:30. I had to drive 2 hours in the morning to get to the event, so I'm like turning up, I'm pretty tired, and I'm like, right, I need to switch on and perform, right? Because this is the big one. This is like the end of year finale essentially, and I get to my table. I'm immediately, stress is gone, right? Because I'm playing John Bellamy, and he's a lovely dude. So I'm like, whatever happens in this game, I'm about to have a whole bunch of fun. I know that we're going to like enjoy ourselves, and that's it, because I'm paired with John, right? And he's a lovely guy. And then I see it's Goremongers. And I think, actually, to be fair, Goremongers is probably a favourable matchup for me. We get to the table. It's a map that, again, it's one of the new Volcus maps, but I'm thinking, again, this is pretty favourable for me. I think it's Volcus 1. Let me just quickly check my notes. Maybe Volcus 3. Yeah, Volcus 3 or 1, I can't remember which one it was. But it's a short board edge. We're quite far away from each other, and we're playing League. And I'm like, I think all of these things are pretty favourable for me. So I think John was, again, trying to learn the new Tac Ops and like playing Goremongers, and he's into a somewhat nightmare matchup straight away, right? So the game kind of goes as expected. I'm able to I win the board side choice, which is kind of useful. So I select the side where I can sort of castle back quite nicely. The models that I've staged up are the Aegis and the Blade Master, so they're now inside the stronghold, which means that obviously they can be charged and that people could charge them, but I'm going to be able to fight first, and I can double parry on the Aegis, and I can pre-parry and then parry with my Blade Master. So I'm fairly confident that anyone that charges me isn't going to have a great time, right? So although I'm not in my damage reduction aura, like I am in a very favourable position for the models that are staged forwards, right? And then I lose the roll-off for who gets turn 1, I'm pretty sure. So I get to go first, play that out, move all my staging pieces up. I've blocked off my home objective using some equipment to essentially reduce the ability to get to it, using a combination of razor wire and light barricades just to really slow down the Goremongers and just make it harder for them to be able to actually get into the board. And again, the difficulty of those like short board edge for Goremongers is, for a start, we're 12 inches away right at the beginning, so you have to come further up. And for the second part is like all those sort of blocking items are more impactful because there's less area between the boards, right? So it's not like you're playing 30 inches wide, you're only playing 22 inches wide, so I have 8 inches less to worry about, and therefore, you know, a 3-inch razor wire, whatever, is more impactful, right? So that's kind of like the vibe of the game. So turning point 1 goes as you expect, right? We all just sort of chill out, done, whatever. Turning point 2, I win the initiative, and John staged up one of his guys onto the centre objective. Now at that point, I thought he was going to be running retrieval. So I was like, the staging looks like he's set for retrieval, and therefore I'm probably like good to, like, well, I want to stop. I want to make that harder, right? Is essentially what I'm trying to do. Is I don't want to let him just take that and run. So I'm like, I'm going to go first on turning point 2. Not something that I usually want to do, but I'm like, I know I've got an option here. My Aegis can charge the guy in the middle. I can then fight him, be on the centre line, be in my half. So I'm like within my territory, within their territory. So I get damage reduction, get rerolls on defense dice. Probably kill that person because they're not particularly a good melee specialist. And then I'm going to be able to loot my point and make it harder for retrieval. That's my logic, right? So I do that. That works out fine. And then the rest of the turning point is essentially John trying to chip the Aegis down into a position in which he can then kill the Aegis. And he's going for these chips, and it's not quite working out the way he wanted it to. and the final chip, like he puts in, doesn't work. But at that point, I can start counteracting. So then I counteract away from where I was, and I'm now outside of chain charge range for the guy with the big axe. So at that point, like I'm now pretty comfortably safe. I took a lot of damage with the Aegis with all these chips that were going through, but it wasn't enough. And so then I'm like, well, I'm now in a position where I'm probably going to heal up next turn if I win initiative, all that sort of stuff. And then I think, I'm trying to remember what happened after that. I think I might have won initiative on turn 3, which meant John was guaranteed turn 4 or something. And I just moved the Aegis back onto the middle, looted it, and ran away to safety. I was playing Dominate, and so at that point, I sort of knew that I was in in my opinion, a strong position. The other thing is I was incorrect on my estimation of Tac Ops. It was actually he was playing Scout Enemy Movement, which again was difficult because I get why he was doing it. It was like, well, what I want to do is I want to make it hard. Like I don't want to just give you free kills and that sort of stuff. But I think at that point, the tempo of the game was really hard to pace because I was constantly using my ready operatives, and you kind of have to choose like, oh, do I want to loot my objectives, or do I want to like scout that person to try and get a Tac Op point? So that we did the looting first, and then my guys are now just like hiding and moving, and I'm able to sort of get out of the way of visibility. So he kind of then struggled to pick up Tac Op points after that. So a favourable matchup for me, favourable mission, and a favourable map, I think, led to the 20-10 win against John. So fantastic opponent though. Had a fantastic time. I always enjoy playing John. I think he's about to get on the Deathwatch train. He used to be a massive Custodes player, and just go to events and just slap the Custodes. It was epic to see. So I think he's going to enjoy Deathwatch. Okay, into round 2 then. I'm paired up against Josh with his Hand of the Archon. We're playing a Into the Dark board from Squad Games, so that was another cool thing about the event, is they were using Squad Game maps, and that was again something different and new for me, right? So I wasn't familiar with the map at all, so I'm like looking at it, trying to figure it out, and I'm like, okay, right, what do I want to do, all this sort of stuff. So Josh was running like Hand of the Archon. He took a pretty standard loadout. He had one agent and then the rest of the specialists. The 2 APT weapons, the Dark Lance and the Blaster, and then his leader had the whatever it is, power weapon essentially. So we're playing Orb, and again I was somewhat like happy with the map and how it was going to work, I think. So I was like, look, yeah. So I was looking at the board state. And I was like, I think this is favourable for me because Hand of the Archon's like a momentum team, right? So if they don't get those pain tokens out, then they really struggle to like interact and be 3 APL, and like being behind doors and that sort of thing is really difficult for them. Whereas Deathwatch play ITD really well because with the free mission action, I can open a hatch, move, dash, and kill someone. Or if you're hiding behind a hatch, I can move, dash up to the hatch, open it, and then shoot you. So Josh took a gamble with the CP generation in Turning Point 2, which was essentially if he passes on his ploys first, he can gain a CP with his leader, and then if I then use ploys, he gets to use the rest of his ploys, right? But the difficulty is you need to issue your pain tokens. That's part of your ploys. So he passed, and the way he was staged needed 3 APL to be effective, essentially. So I was kind of worried going into Turning Point 2 because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to move out and do the things that I want to do because like he can hit me hard if I do so. And then he did that, and I was like, oh, I can now just pass, and I don't think he can hit me, but I can hit him. Was kind of my logic. And so I think as well, like, and again, this is what people most will do, is they see all the great ploys that that Deathwatch have, and they think they're obviously going to want to use all their ploys, right? You want to have the damage reduction up, obviously. Like, why would you not? But my logic was essentially, well, I won't need damage reduction if you can't hit me, and not just that, but like they won't get from Darkness Death or anything other ploys that they have. So even if you are hitting me, you're significantly weaker when doing so, and my last activation can probably be more impactful. So that's kind of how it went. So I passed. We basically did a bunch of moves out, and then eventually my leader did the classic move, dash, open door, blast two guys that were close to each other because there wasn't a method really to stop it. At that point, the game just started becoming like a churn. Joshua was taking increased risk to try and like essentially trip my guys. We got to sort of midway through turning point 2, and sadly, like the familiarity of approved Ops 25 came in because he had misread how the Tac Op worked for scouting movements, and didn't realise it had to be against ready operatives. So I had already activated at that point. So at that point, there's no way for him to score it. There was no way for us to like go back and find a way for it to work either, like to retcon what happened. So he kind of accepted that he wasn't getting any Tac Op points that turn. I think that kind of then set the game, right? Because I think it was such a decisive turning point 2 where I'd killed some key models and not lost any, and I was like, I think I'm in a really strong place going into turning point 3, and that was kind of it. So then the kills continued to rack up after that. I took dominate in that matchup, and managed to max, so it went pretty well. And then essentially, because I biased a lot of my forces over to the middle and his objective based on how the map layout was, I was able to kick amusingly the orb back to my home objective because that's where it made the most sense. And then I had the APL on the objective that I needed to, right? So I was able to max out that game, getting 21 VP, and did a significant denial of VP for Josh. But I think sadly for Josh, I think that's just a familiarity with the map. It was a new map. It was new missions. It's new Tac Ops against a new team. So I had all the advantages going into that game. So yeah, but I think if Josh plays that again, he's going to be in a much better place. Okay, into round 3 then. So this is the last round of day 1, and I'm into a Deathwatch mirror match. So I'm against Alan, and he is from Brighton. So as I know now, that means you got to respect these guys because they usually know what they're doing, and they're going to give you a good game. And Alan is a really fun guy. Like so, I had loads of fun during this game. I was quite experienced into the Deathwatch mirror match. Well, that's not true actually. I played a open board Deathwatch mirror match game, but I hadn't played the ITD one. But like I know roughly I thought about the principles quite a lot. So we both went with a very similar operative loadout. The only difference is I took the Breacher and he took the Blade Master. The rest were the same. So Watch Sergeant, Aegis, Heavy Plasma Incinerator, Demolisher, and then the difference is Blade Master or Breacher. And essentially, we both went for plant banners, and it was one of those games where I think I got the ability to choose initiative on turn 2, and forced him to go first. Was that how that one went down? I think that's how it went down. And that kind of like set the scene. And I think at that point, it was really difficult for him to stage. Now, on turning point 1, I did have the potential to get a kill on his Demolisher, but I whiffed. So the way he opened the door, like there was an angle with the ignore obscurity shot that was a potential for me to get him, and so I was like, that's worth a risk, like got to give it a go. I think I only got a crit and a hit or something, and he took barely any damage. And I was like, that's really frustrating because that would have set the game up perfectly. But the game continued. It became a bit of the standard churn. I was able to do quite a decent job of denying the Tac Ops, I think, and essentially just through like attrition of rolls, it was kind of that, like it was kind of done. And because we were on transmission as well, as soon as you're behind on like on operatives, it becomes really difficult. And I managed to get the right kills on the flank where my banner was. So at that point, I was like, yep, I managed to get, I'm gonna be able to max here on my banner. I'm going to be able to do pretty well on transmission, I think. And like at that point, I'm okay. I think I went down on TP2 on transmission to then go up later, but yeah. So that was a really fun game. I think he had played a couple of practice games again in that Deathwatch mirror match, but against a different style of Deathwatch. Like I think I play a slightly cagier game than what he's potentially used to, which again potentially throws the vibes off a little bit, right? When you're like trying to learn a new edition, new team, all that sort of stuff, and then someone's suddenly like doing something very different. But what I do want to say about Alan is apparently he's like started playing. Was it 6 weeks ago or something? Not very long ago, right? And the Brighton guys have been like coaching him up to get him to his first tournament. So this was his first major tournament, and he went 4-2 in the end, right? Like that is so cool for people to do. So again, like I just want to say to people, if you're worried about going to a tournament, like people at Alan are out there that they're going, yep, they're getting like how many practice games in, and then just coming to a tournament, letting rip and going 4-2, right? So he was a lovely guy, really good fun to play against. And hopefully get to play against him again in the future because that was a great game. So that was day one complete, right? So then I'm into day two, and I was expecting actually to go into Hyrotech, Deathwatch, or Canoptic Circle, because I was undefeated at that point, and they were some of the undefeated options. But I actually got paired down into Scout Squad, so that was something I wasn't expecting at all. But when the pairings came up, I was like, as soon as I saw the name, I was like, this is the best start to day two I can have. Because Tom Catchersize is, if you don't know him, he's probably one of the nicest people in Killteam. He is an exceptional hobbyist. Like his models are just gorgeous. Like he has a great Instagram. I should probably find out what the actual handle is. But yeah, like so, lovely dude, fantastic hobbyist, and absolute devil at Killteam. He's really good as well, right? So like he is a really good player, and I was like, this is going to be a great game. So I couldn't be happier going into Tom for the first game of day two. Like that was like this is the start of a fantastic day for me. And he's playing Scout Squad, so he used to play on Phobos, and we talked a lot about Phobos in the past. And he switched over to Scout Squad, which is the other team that I'm like interested in outside of Deathwatch. And Tom is also interested in Deathwatch outside of Scout Squad, right? So we're both Marine Loyalist players. I think he's going to be really good on Deathwatch when he picks him up. But this was a game that I learned so much about, and I think that there's so many ways to play Scouts now. But what I will say is it was a squad games into dark map, which I think is favourable for me because he's a 2 APL team. I'm a 3 APL team with a free mission action, so like hatchways and all that sort of stuff massively in my favour. The ability to guard massively in my favour, and the ability for scouts is the fact they have loads of 4 damage shotguns, and I have the ability to make those 3 damage shotguns, which is massively in my favour. So going into this, like you're expecting a landslide victory for Deathwatch, right? Like that's the expected outcome in my opinion, based on matchup. But what Tom did is play it really well and keep it really close. So only 6 points in it, and I think there's a few bits where potentially like if he wins initiative on the last turning point, he denies me 4 points I think, and gets really close to winning. So yeah, like awesome opponent, awesome game. But Scout Squad. So he then ends up going plant devices, and the cool thing is because of the way the triple arms worked, if I went to like contest the objectives, I couldn't I was going to get shot by like a sniper with lethal 5, saturate, dev wounds, and all that sort of stuff, ignoring obscurity, or I was going to get hit by a heavy bolter, or I was going to get hit by a missile launcher. All these sort of horrible things were all waiting for me if I went on any of these objectives. And he was able to just basically go out, plant these devices, and then leave. And I think the only thing that made that like game favourable for me on reflection was the fact that we were playing data, which is all scored at the end, and the fact that I don't necessarily have to I don't have to stay on the objectives into the turning point. So because of that, I was able to like go on, tap it, move off, and that sort of thing. And I think had we played a map a mission where I had to stay on the objectives, I think Tom would have got me. Like, I think Tom had it there to win, and it was because of the fact that I could leave essentially, so he couldn't max Tac Op. And like that kind of forced the whole tempo of the game because he was trying to move on to the objective. He's only two APL, so for him to tap the objective, he has to hang around and stay there. Whereas I don't have to do that, which then gives me targets to kill. I'm playing dominate. I'm trying to catch up late game. But the way he set up, I thought he was going to go scout any movements. That's what it was looking. And then I had a massive fear at like the beginning of Turning Point 2. I was like, what if he's gone retrieval? Like, he could just take all these objectives and I can't even get on them. And he could just run away with it, and then I'm screwed. But yeah, like Scout Squad, awesome, and it was so cool to see a team being played so differently to my experience of them last year in the last approved Ops, and like I couldn't ask for a better opponent. That was an amazing game on round 4. I really enjoyed it, and I think there is some secret sauce in Scouts there. I think sadly, like, the matchup is so favourable for Deathwatch, and on that mission as well, it was like the perfect thing. If I had the right map, I had the right mission, and I had the right matchup. So I think in that instance that's why I managed to sneak a win by 6 points, because I think if you change one of those bits, I think Tom had it. So awesome to see Tom doing so well with Scouts. So congratulations to him. Then I was into round 5, so I was like, oh, this is going to get progressively harder now. And I go into David Kennedy, who has just come off a draw with Can You Roll a Crit, John Reese, in his Cloptic Circle, which was one of the big boogeymen that I was worried about. So David Kennedy doing so well there, I'm like, this is going to be a tough game. But I've just had some, I think, quite good practice into Deathwatch mirror matches now, right? Because I've played one before I got to the event, and I've played one at the event now, and I'm kind of like learning the way it works. So again, it's a Squad Games ITD map, so I was pretty like happy with a Plant Banner game plan. And so I chose Plant Banner. He had also chosen Plant Banner, and we select equipment. So we both go with Razor Wire. We both go with Light Barricades. A key difference is he took the once per game ammunition twice, whereas I switched that out for the ammo cache, just to give me some more rerolls, because I wanted them on my breacher. Like I think having the essentially free reroll on the melter bomb and a free reroll on like a crack grenade or whatever is really good. So yeah, so essentially we're playing State Claim. We're both gone Plant Banner. We're putting down the equipment, and I think he sequenced his equipment placing just slightly wrong. So he didn't put down his Razor Wire first, which was going to be like protecting his home objective, and instead he put down a Light Barricade on the middle, to be able to stage slightly more aggressively on the middle objective. But what that meant is immediately I was like, okay, well, if you've done that, I'm going to place a Light Barricade so that I can now sit in light terrain on your home objective, straddle the line between your territory and my territory, and open up a charge route for me to be able to get through and hit your sort of your back lines. Because now the Razor Wire can't go there because it can't go within 2 inches, right? So I think that was like immediately like pretty decisive, and so that was like that hurt. And then when we got into Turning Point 2 with the standard moves, I won that really crucial role to be like, okay, I win initiative and I'm going to force you to go first so that I get the last activation, right? So we all staged up, and it was kind of set to be not too exciting, essentially. But I think he recognised straight away that he needed to like be a bit more aggressive, but wasn't too sure how and where to do it, and wasn't quite staged enough to be able to capitalise on it necessarily. And then I did the first aggressive play of the game. My leader charged my leader moved up to within 2 inches of his leader, touching a hatchway, to shoot first with the plasma pistol, then hatchway fight, which was pretty favourable to be able to get the kill. which was nice. And then like at that point, he went for his retaliation and just whiffed. Um, and so there was like the trading game began, and on the first few key rolls, he whiffed quite badly. And at that point, like that was game. Because as soon as you've like lost multiple models and you haven't killed, like in a 5v5, if you lose two guys and you haven't got a kill, that's it, right? And so like that was kind of how it sequenced. And then I managed to pick up another kill with my breacher, using that sort of double balanced scenario with the mission tactics reroll and the ammunition crate reroll, to just put piercing one rounds into his breacher, sorry, at range. And so I think I killed 3 on turning point 2. And then that was like the trading game just began. And on turning point 3, my plasma shot his demolished and all that sort of stuff. So like that was kind of it. It then quickly ran away. So I was able to luckily max out on that one with Plying Banner. And David unfortunately got sort of stung by like way worse than he should have done, in my opinion, because he didn't make significantly bad mistakes to get a score of 6. It was he made a few mistakes, and then when he went to roll dice, got punished heavily for those mistakes, and that was kind of I think out of his control at that point. But lovely guy, fantastic player, and did really well in the event. Again, one of the younger guys in the sort of the London community, plays a lot with Dan Barton. And I think again is one to watch. Like these guys are they're getting the reps in. They're learning the game really quickly. And I don't think David played Killteam until like a year ago, maybe less than a year ago. I think it's like not very long at all. And he's doing really well. So the score not representative of the game is just what I want to say on that one. So then going into the final round, I don't know who I'm going to go against. I'm like, it's either going to be Dan Barton with Wormblade, or it's going to be Jack O'Neill with Deathwatch, or it's going to be Kanyarula Crit with his Canoptic Circle. So I'm like, who am I going to get? Don't know. And pretty much all of them are going to be tough, right? And I end up matching into Jack O'Neill with his Deathwatch. And I'm like, well, this is probably for me the best of those outcomes, because I've just had lots of warm-up games into Deathwatch essentially. So like I'm fresh on the mirror match. And I don't know how many Jack had played this tournament, but I was like, I'm probably in a decent place to go and play Deathwatch again. So we go into Deathwatch and we play on the what's it called? The map that I'd already played on, which is, I think is Volcus 1. I think is the map. So we played on that, and it's one that I had a practice game on. So I was like, I kind of know how this one goes, and it's really difficult to play Plant Banner. So I was like, I'm going to go with Dominate, because I'm a bit worried about that turn to initiative, because I know that if I lose turn to initiative, he's going to be able to dictate what happens, and I didn't have the reroll card. He did, so I'm like, he's already in a more favourable position for this, like at that selection point. And I was like, well, like I don't think I'm going to get it. So because I took board side, and I was like, so therefore I'm gonna go with Dominate and just see if I can get 3 points or so, and just work hard to deny his banner. That's my game plan essentially. We're playing secure, by the way, I should have said. And so, like going into that game, I was very much like, I think with this board side, if I put a razor wire down, I can deny any cover on one of the objectives, which is gross. So he has to throw out a sacrificial model, and plant banner and secure that objective. So if I stage up some models that are good at killing those kind of models, then I'm in a good place. So I had my my breacher with the melter mine, the melter bomb, and the piercing guns, obviously. And I had the demolisher, the big brutal hammer, like staged on the left, ready to go for that. Because if he moved in a guy, if he moved in the Aegis, then the Demolisher is really good at killing the Aegis. So I was like, I can send the Demolisher in and kill. If he sends in someone that's good at avoiding or killing the brutal guy, like say the Blade Master, or his very own Demolisher, then I'll instead send in my shooty guy and use that to kill that model and punish that. So I had those guys set up to be able to do that, which was quite good. I think in hindsight I might use a ladder differently, but anyway, that was a point for me to think about. And then so I was like, cool, I'm pretty happy with how that side's going. And then sadly for Jack, I won that again, that TP2 initiative, which is so decisive, I think, in these games. I think I was probably in a good place to kind of to weather it out if I lost it, but for him, because he went Plant Banner, he was not. So like I was somewhat initiative agnostic, and he was like initiative dependent, or so it felt. And so yeah, like that's kind of how it began, and then trading game begins, right? And we start losing models, and essentially my Demolisher on the end of TP2, sorry, does what Demolisher does. He put his Aegis in that room. I charge in, I kill, I deny his banner. I get a dominate point that I can't use because he just dies afterwards. But I'm in a position then where if I win initiative, he can probably go in and kill another guy. But Jack wins initiative on TP3, so the first person to go is that Demolisher, the exposed model. And then essentially we just start trading. So, but at that point I was in like a pretty confidently good place. I thought, and I was able to pick up some kills, and then that was kind of game. So I think that was like a experience and lesson in like how much in this edition the map, like operative selection, the kill team you're against, affects your Tac Op, and how like that even affects what equipment you want to take, and like all of it. So there was so much stuff to think about during that game, and I think that's kind of how it ran for me. So yeah, so that was the last game of LGT, and I managed to go 19-5 and go on undefeated and collect second place, and the very deserved winner Dan Barton going first, having played I think some really strong opponents and out there. So what I was going to do is just quickly show you guys the Excel spreadsheet that I use to record my games, because people have looked at this or asked for this. So this is something that's made by Josh in the not Killteam community, and essentially it's just like a smart sheet where you can select your drop downs for the various maps, missions, and all that sort of stuff. The Tac Ops are all the same. You do all that sort of stuff. You input it, and it shows you what your results are. So you can see these are my practice games. Obviously, this is when LGT was. So I've had 15 games so far with my Deathwatch, and that was my practice. These are the two that I got to play early, and then all of these I think are post release for everyone else. So but this is what I do essentially. So just so people understand what I'm trying to do is try to identify themes. So the cool thing about this is you can look into what factions you played, and I use this as well partly to plan my practice games. So I know, for instance, that I need to play into Angels of Death, I need to play into Battlecade, Brood Brothers, all these sorts of teams, right? Where I'm like, cool, I know that I need to start playing into these teams, and therefore I will start planning my practice games to do so, right? Because that gives me a bit more understanding data. I've learned the teams and that sort of stuff. So it then means that I can learn that matchup. Additionally, I will actually start going through. I'm not quite sure how that works. Unsure why it says 113%. I'll figure out another time. But this shows you essentially how like what games you've played on. So I know, for instance, that I need to do a practice game on Volcus 4 because I haven't played that one yet. Same for Team World and all that sort of stuff, right? So I deliberately didn't play any Team World practice because LGT wasn't using Team World, and therefore I instead biased my practice to Gallowdark and to Volcus. and then amusingly end up playing a lot of squad games which I hadn't practiced. But that's essentially it. So it just shows you the various ones that I've played. Clearly, a lot of games on Squad Games ITD, 6 over the weekend, which is now biased a large chunk of it. And then also it shows you how much I'm scoring on average on Crit Ops. So one of the reasons why I'm doing this is because I like to try and say to people, okay, I think this is good for a primary. I think this is bad for a primary, etc., etc. And clearly, at the moment, this is a small data set, so let's not get too carried away. But you can kind of see the ones where you might think it's better to take as a primary op. So if this number is like 5 or greater, then I'm going to say that it's a good primary op option, and if it's less than that, then it's a bad primary op option. So but this I'll continue to essentially populate as my games go on, and then I can hopefully give a better in-depth deep dive specifically for Deathwatch into which missions I think are good for primary op or not. And then on Tac Op as well, so you see I've just been playing the 3 so far. I've been playing Dominate, Rout and Plant Banner. I haven't dared try Envoy or Martyr, and I haven't tried Sweep, Sweep and Clear. But this is what I've been doing. The majority of my games have been running on Dominate. I played a little bit of Rout, not too much, and then I've played quite significantly more Plant Banner. But again, interestingly here, it's showing me what my mean VP is, right? So on Dominate, I'm getting like 5.3, slightly more than I am on Rout and Plant Banner. So I'm also playing it a bit more, but as I continue to play games, I'll average this out and I'll be able to see. So yeah, so that's essentially it. It tells you, who wins and lost. It populates this bit at the end, and I just put in various notes as I need to, and it means that I can just review my games and figure out like what worked, what didn't work, and how might I do it better in future. And that's kind of what I'm doing. So I'll continue to populate this. But I'll show you this. I'll speak to Josh and see if he's happy for me to share it on the Patreon for people, because I think it's a really useful tool, and I think people might want to see it and have access to that. Okay, so that is the LGT overview. So hopefully that's been interesting for people. The next bit I'm going to do right at the end of this is the tactical tip, but it is a subscriber only benefit. So if you're not a subscriber, that's it for the show for you. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to hear the tactical tip, all you have to do is just go down to that button at the bottom, click subscribe, and then you can listen to it. Obviously, you can listen to it anyway, but it does helps me out if you guys do hit subscribe, and keeps the channel growing and going, and hopefully it reaches more people, which is awesome. So thank you very much for doing that if you have. Okay, so tactical tip then. This one I'm going to talk about is CP budgeting. So I see a lot of people not too sure how to use their CP or how to think about CP in the context of the game, right? So the new edition has changed CP budgeting quite a lot because of the way initiative works. If you lose that initiative, you're now going to, if you go second, sorry, is what I should say, initiative slightly different, but if you go second in a turning point, you get an extra CP. And I think that's kind of throwing off people's budgeting and stuff, because you have to, I think, budget and plan on not doing that, right? Because if you are planning on, like, I'm going to get 2 CP next turn or whatever, and therefore I'm going to have sufficient ploys to be able to do what I need to do, then you're probably in a bad place. So budgeting is important. And in the context of like Deathwatch, I will, think about where I think my CP needs to be spent. So an example, so you start the game on 2 CP. You get 1 CP at the start of turning point 1, and you get another one on turning point 2, another one on turning point 3, and another one on turning point 4. So you should have 6, oh my god, my camera's way over here, 6 CP as standard, right? That's where you need to start your planning with. Now with Deathwatch, I know that I get a free strat ploy with the Watch Sergeant, so it goes to 7. I get a free Firefight ploy, which is harder to use sometimes, goes to 8. But my strat ploys, which is kind of where I want to budget stuff, is 7. Now, you can like look at each turning point and figure out if you want to use CP. Majority of the time, I'm going to tell you don't want to be spending CP on turning point 1, in my opinion, unless your opponent's giving you like a a clear shot straight away where you can get something. But most opponents aren't going to do that. I don't really like playing games like that if it's a thing, but sure, like unless there's a way where you're going to get something out and it's immediately going to go kinetic, then sure. Like let's instead focus on turning point 2 onwards. So you're going to save that CP initially, and you go to turning point 2 onwards. So you want to look at your strat ploys and you want to think, okay, so if I've got that 7 CP or 6 CP, whatever it is for your faction, right? I've got that 6 CP. What do I want to spend each turn, right? Are there, for instance, 2 strat ploys that you must have up? Is there one strat ploy that you must have up? Because if there is, right, like at that point you need to know, like, right, for my team to function, I need to spend 2 CP each turn. Therefore, I have 0 availability for firefight ploys, right? Because that's what I need to spend on these 2 strat ploys. Or conversely, you might go, okay, instead of that, actually, I need one per turning point. This is I must have this, and therefore I'm going to budget that. So the way the CP comes in, if it's 1 per turning point, you can essentially effectively spend all your limit. But if it's 2 per turning point, you need to always have 1 left over, right? This is CP budgeting, because a lot of people, when they do that CP reroll, they don't think about what the cost is of doing it there and then, right? So if you, like, let's say you're going to kill a model and you don't achieve it, and you're thinking maybe I should spend these 2 CP to do that, but that means that the next turn you don't get damage reduction, or you don't get, I don't know, whatever it is for your team, like relentless in melee or something like this, right? Like something really impactful that's going to come up a lot. Then you're now in a position where you're potentially like nerfing your team significantly for that next turning point. So if that is the case, you need to like really look at this role and think, what is the odds of this role being successful, and how much impact is it going to make to the game? Like, and if the answer is like it's a 50-50, like if it's a 50-50, you better be saying to yourself, I win the game on this 50-50, like, or it's a, you know, I don't lose much, right? But if it's like I'm going to win or lose based on this, then it's like, you know, you got to be careful with these sorts of things. Also, when you're thinking about those sort of situations, when you're using these ploys or whatever, like what is the success chance of that ploy is also really important. So the few things that I'd say is just like be aware of that, right? Like make sure you have a plan for that CP, and think about all 4 turning points. So if you need 2 CP for the last turning point because you're playing a late game strategy, you're doing a slow tempo, you're trying to save up, trying to wait till the end, like you're playing dominate and all that sort of stuff, like then bias your CP to the end, right? Like if you can, and I've done this a few times on turning point 2, I'm like, nothing's going to happen because I'm playing dominate or whatever, and the way that the mission is, I'm not going to engage. I ain't going to spend anything because I want to bias my CP towards the end, right? And then if you do that, the benefit is if you go second and that sort of stuff, all those extra CPs you get are your pool of availability when it comes to rerolls and firefly poise and that sort of stuff, right? So that's like the mentality I think people should have when it comes to CP rerolls, right? So like if you can take that mentality, you're good. But make sure you have a plan. Like how much do you need to spend to make it work for your team to function? And if the answer is like I need 2 per turning point, then make sure you have 2 per turning point, and you're not overspending on CP rerolls or something like this, or a firefight ploy that you don't necessarily need. Okay, that's the tactical tip. If you found that useful and you think, yeah, that is useful and that has helped me out, consider just dropping a like. You know, like that's a massive way to help the channel. It helps promote the video, it helps the algorithm grow, and hopefully it gets it out to more people. So that was a tactical tip. And again, if you didn't subscribe and you listened to it, it's a bit naughty. You really should just hit the subscribe button. Finally, we're into the Patreon priority questions. So those who don't know, every week I put like a post out, and my patrons can ask questions they want to be answered, and I just on the Metawatch pick a random one to answer going forward. So it's a bit of a way of rewarding the patrons for supporting the channel, and meaning that they get a bit more support from me. So the question I have this week is, with the new approved ops decks shaking up the game so much, do you think players should experiment with as many Tac Ops as possible, or try to learn how to get the most out of 1 or 2 of them? So I guess the answer is yes, you should experiment to a certain extent. and where you experiment is important. So depending upon how many games you get, so like let's say you're someone who plays one game a week casually and you do a tournament once a month. So I would say in your 3 practice games up to the tournament, or maybe 4, let's say is in your 4 practice games, I would pick 4 different Tac Ops that you probably think are going to be viable with your team play. So for instance, if you're playing Deathwatch, I would suggest play a game with Plant Banner, play a game with Rout, play a game with Dominate, and then if you need like another practice on one of those, play another one of the one that you need practice on. And that means that you know how they play, you know the rules, you're familiar with them. And then for the actual tournament, I would say stick to the ones which are like you think are the good options and don't experiment, right? So at that point, like you're really dialing in to winning. You don't want to make any rules mistakes because rules mistakes isn't good for you or them, right? Like B, you have a strategy now. You kind of know what works, and like it's probably better to have a plan, like some plan, than like no plan at all. So I would go with that as an option, and I think like you can probably, I think during a lot of these things, rule out some of them straight away. So as in like, if you, for instance, I don't think I'm ever going to play Martyrs as Deathwatch, right? I can't see it being a thing that I want to do. It involves me losing a model, which is a kill up point for me. It's a kill grade, sorry. It's potentially primary up. It's also, it just doesn't work. So I can probably rule that one out. But like Envoy, I think it's a suboptimal pick, but maybe I can give it a go. Sweep and Clear, like I think it's a suboptimal pick, but on some maps and missions, maybe I can give it a go. And so like I'll change my equipment options and that sort of stuff to see if that works potentially in some scenarios. And just try it essentially. But generically, if I'm going to a tournament, I'm like there's a play style with this team. There's 3 main Tac Ops that I think that they're going to play, and I'm probably not going to experiment outside of those. I'm going to focus on them. I'm going to focus on learning them really well. So yeah, that's the first bit. The next bit I would say is the reason why in your casual games you want to play as many different opponents, archetypes, and Tac Ops as possible is because of the meta game that exists in denying them, right? So if you have more than, so like that's your, I'm preparing for this specific tournament, but let's say you have a few extra options and you can you get more games available. Maybe you get to play two games on a club night or whatever. So actually you've got 8 games, right? Like, and you've got some flex. Learning about how other Tac Ops work and then thinking about how to deny them is really important, because if you have that familiarity with them, then you can suddenly go, oh, actually, I think the person's trying to do this, and therefore I'm going to do this to counter it. And that's kind of like the mentality that you want. So thinking like you're playing ITD against an opponent that has potentially scout and enemy movements. Do you need to open the door like and the hatchway to give them visibility on your ready models? Or can you just keep the door closed and so therefore like you're not visible until you are then activating? At that point, you're going to be expended and you're not a valid target for 4 of them, right? So like using that kind of mentality of I can deny you a Tac Op here by just changing the way I tactically play the game a little bit. But what that requires is you to know how scout any movements works and to be thinking about it as a potential when you talk to your opponent about their archetypes. And I talked last week about having standardized questions. One of the standard questions that I think you should be asking is, what's your archetype? And when they go, oh yeah, I'm Recon, you can then go, all right, cool, get the Recon cards out of your deck, have a quick look at them and go, oh yeah, I remember how these works. Like I think I remember how my counters to them potentially work. Now you're not always going to be correct, right? Like I made like a few, quite a lot probably, errors in my judgment of what Tac Ops I think my opponent are going to be playing, and hopefully that's something that I get better at as the edition goes. I also think it's very hard to predict this edition because I think the Tac Ops are so variable. But my plan is I'm going to try and learn these things so I can get better at predicting them, and then hopefully when I go into a game I'm going to go, right, actually I think you're going to be taking this one or this one or this one. Maybe you can narrow it down to like 3 options as well. And you go, so how do I deny those 3? Does a fast gameplay, like I'm playing against someone that wants to play, I don't know, retrieval or something. So I want to stage up on the objectives and deny them being able to grab them early. Or I'm playing against someone that's playing steel intelligence. So actually me not giving them any kills early makes it way harder for them potentially. These kind of things, right? Like how is that game going, and how can you potentially use that to your advantage for Tac Ops selection? So that was the answer to that Patreon priority question. A little bit short answer, shorter than usual, but hopefully it was useful. So let me know what you think about that. As always, I do ask, if you have something, a thought or an interest or one of your points of views, drop it in the comment box, right? Like the comment box is there to try and engage with the community. And I try and answer and respond to every comment where I can. So just drop a little thing, drop your thoughts. Oh yeah, actually I don't agree with that, or this is the Tac Op that I've been using. This is why I think it's good, right? So help share that information, because that's going to help the community just by reading the comments, understand what's going on in the wider meta, and hopefully maybe means that they can do less practice games before they get into a tournament and get more games and more fun under their belt. That is it for this week. I'm going to be away, sadly, with work, but I've got a video that's pre-done, ready to release. So I'll get this one out, and then hopefully you'll get another one out midweek at some point as well. So hopefully that's been useful. Thank you again for a fantastic tournament to the organisers of the LGT. Pete does a phenomenal job, and Isaac as well, where he goes by these days. Again, like as a TO team, absolutely crushed it. To all 6 of my opponents, you were incredibly, you were awesome. I had such fun. You're all great opponents. I really enjoyed myself. And so thank you for making it like a really enjoyable and epic experience. And I even managed to get 6 wins, which I did not expect. I thought I'd go at best 5-1. So thank you all for that. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. As I said, please consider like, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you think. And I'll see you next week on the next Metawatch. See you later.
That brings us to the end of the episode. Hopefully you found something new or useful while listening, and if you did, throwing us a like would be greatly appreciated. If you want to make sure you don't miss any episodes, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the bell so you get notifications as soon as the next one drops. It really is the best way to help a small channel like ours. And if you can't wait and you do want early access, we have a Patreon where you can get exclusive access to all our content ahead of time. As always, we'd love to hear your thoughts and feedback. Just drop a comment below and we'll get right to you. Thank you so much for listening. I'm your host Ryan, this has been Turning Point Tactics, and we'll see you next week.